Welcome to NTD Good Morning.
Here are today's top stories. No consensus after a marathon session between U.S. negotiators and Russia's President Putin. How things currently stand on the Russia-Ukraine war.
Pentagon doubles down on its strikes in the Caribbean. War Secretary Pete Hegseth says the U.S. has only just begun.
The results are in from Tennessee's special election, with Republican Matt Van Epps claiming victory. What his win means for the balance of power in the U.S. House.
President Trump projects massive income tax cuts next year due to tariff revenue gains. He's pushing for dividend checks. Congress will need to act, but where do lawmakers stand?
Billionaires Michael and Susan Dell pledge more than $6 billion to help fund Trump administration investment accounts for kids.
And San Francisco is suing some companies that make ultra-processed foods. What the city says these companies have done to spur a public health crisis.
This is NTD Good Morning, live from our global headquarters in New York City. Here are Stephanie Cox and Carrie Dunst.
Good morning. Great to have you with us.
Today is Wednesday, December 3rd. You're watching NTD Good Morning. In today's top news, President Trump hosting his 9th cabinet meeting of his second term amid questions about a deadly strike against a drug-carrying boat from Venezuela.
The War Secretary defending the Pentagon strikes in the Caribbean and saying that they've only just begun. NTD's Washington correspondent Mari Otsu has the details.
President Trump's 9th cabinet meeting, the last one of the year, came amid much scrutiny over a boat strike in the Caribbean Sea, a double strike that happened exactly 3 months ago. So on September 2nd, a boat strike was launched in the Caribbean that left 2 men alive before a second strike was then ordered, which killed both of those men. And some lawmakers are now saying that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth committed a war crime by ordering that second strike. Hegseth, however, denies ordering it, saying instead that he wasn't at the scene at the time and that it was rather Admiral Frank Bradley who ordered it. Hegseth also defends Bradley's choice, though, adding that the Pentagon will, quote, always have the backs of its commanders. Take a look.
I have empowered them to make that call. Now, the first couple of strikes, as you would, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. A couple of hours later, I learned that that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all.
President Trump also doubles down on the effectiveness of these boat strikes, saying that they save hundreds of thousands of American lives. He also vows that land strikes on cartels are going to come, quote, very soon, and that those land strikes wouldn't just be limited to Venezuela, but rather any country that's bringing illicit drugs into the U.S. And Hegseth says that the Pentagon strikes have only just begun. Watch.
As I've said, and I'll say again, we've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. We're defeating narco terrorists, and we're standing.
And you may say one thing, that drugs coming in through the sea by sea are down 91%. And I don't know who the 9% is.
I'm not sure either, sir.
But down 91% by sea.
We've had a bit of a pause because it's hard to find boats to strike right now, which is the entire point, right? Deterrence has to matter, not arrest and hand over and then do it again, the rinse and repeat approach of previous administrations.
This is coming as President Trump confirms that he spoke with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro over the weekend. And just last week, the administration also formally designated Maduro and allies of his government as members of a foreign terrorist organization.
Thanks to Mari for that report. And in recent election news, Republican Matt Van Epps has won Tennessee's special election in the 7th Congressional District. The former state commissioner and Army helicopter pilot defeated Democrat Aftyn Behn with just over 53% of the vote, according to the Associated Press.
Behn finished with roughly 46%. Van Epps said his victory sent a loud and clear message that the people of Middle Tennessee stand with President Trump.
Our victory was powered by supporters of President Trump turning out to vote. The president built the largest, most diverse coalition to ever elect a Republican, and we leaned in on that. President Trump was all in with us, and it made the difference. In Congress, I'll be all in with him. Thank you. Thank you.
President Trump reacted on Truth Social, congratulating Epps, saying, quote, "The radical left Democrats threw everything at him, including millions of dollars." On Monday, Van Epps headlined a rally which featured House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senator Marsha Blackburn. Trump also called into a Monday rally.
On the Democrat side, former Vice President Al Gore and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stumped for Ben. Millions of dollars were poured into both campaigns.
Van Epps will represent 14 counties in Middle Tennessee, filling the seat vacated by Congressman Mark Green.
The win helps Republicans maintain their narrow House majority heading into 2026. Ben conceded last night, crediting volunteers for keeping the race close.
And the Trump administration is pausing immigration applications for individuals from 19 countries. That's according to a policy memo from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. The 19 countries were facing travel restrictions to the U.S. under a presidential proclamation issued in June. They include Afghanistan, Iran, Somalia, Venezuela, and Cuba. The memo also places a hold on all asylum applications, regardless of one's nationality, pending a comprehensive review. It comes after one National Guard member was killed and another critically wounded in that shooting in Washington, D.C.
And President Trump says he is nullifying every document former President Biden approved using an Autopen. He announced yesterday all Autopen signed executive actions under Biden are now void and without legal effect. Trump also said pardons, commutations, or any legal papers signed in that way are also terminated. He says the move follows his earlier decision to revoke all Autopen signed executive orders from the Biden years. Trump says that Biden wasn't personally involved in approving these signatures, and aides misused the process. A congressional investigation concluded senior officials abused Autopen authority and couldn't prove Biden had actually authorized key actions.
Next to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the push for a negotiated end to the nearly 4-year war hit another stalemate this week.
That's right. A marathon 5-hour meeting in Moscow was held, but it produced no breakthrough. Here's more on that.
A long meeting yesterday between U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, and Russian President Vladimir Putin, ultimately producing no results. The Kremlin described the talks as constructive, but said compromises had not yet been found.
The conversation was very useful, constructive, and very meaningful. It lasted not for 5 minutes, but for 5 hours.
Putin aide Yuri Yushakov said both sides reviewed American draft proposals, some of which Moscow sees as workable and others as unacceptable.
We criticized some things, and the president did not hide our critical, even negative attitude to a number of proposals.
The meeting began with exchanges of greetings between Trump and Putin, though both sides say the details of the negotiations remain confidential. Still, the Kremlin says the meeting did not push the sides further from peace, but made clear that the road ahead is long.
Not further, that's for sure. But there's still a lot of work to be done.
On the Ukrainian side, President Volodymyr Zelensky said yesterday in Ireland he expects a full briefing from U.S. negotiators once they return from Moscow.
We are waiting for the results in America-Russia negotiations, today's results. And I will react according to the results.
At a cabinet meeting in Washington yesterday, Trump blamed the Biden administration for allowing the war to begin in the first place.
That's not an easy situation, let me tell you. What a mess. It's a war that never would have happened if I were president. Not even a chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years.
Trump said the U.S. was no longer monetarily involved, only selling weapons to NATO and not directly to Ukraine. Secretary of State Marco Rubio echoed Trump's message, saying Trump is the only leader in the world positioned to end it.
It's the reason why we're involved in this whole Ukraine Russia conflict. That's not our war. It's not the president's war. This war started, it never would have happened if you'd been president. But this war is going on, and the president is trying to end it, not because, listen, we got a million things to focus on in the world as a country, but he's the only leader in the world that can help end it.
Rubio says the enormous casualties suffered by Russian forces is evidence of the conflict's increasing futility. In an interview with Fox News, Rubio said the administration's aim is a deal Ukraine can live with, ensuring its sovereignty and long-term security while laying the groundwork for future prosperity.
These are the kinds of things. Stop the war, make sure they never get invaded or attacked again, protect Ukraine's longstanding and long-term sovereignty and independence so that they don't become a puppet state. They're actually independent and sovereign, and allow their economy not just to recover, but to prosper.
The war's front lines remain fluid. Russia has published new drone footage from Vovchansk, and Putin continues to claim full control of Pokrovsk, assertions Ukraine disputes. Tensions at sea have also escalated after a drone strike on a Russian tanker near Turkey, prompting Putin to threaten steps as extreme as cutting Ukraine off from the sea.
The most radical solution is to cut Ukraine off from the sea. Then piracy will be impossible for Ukraine in principle.
For now, peace is still a long way off, and with more meetings expected, negotiators could be in for the long haul.
Still to come, billionaires Michael and Susan Dell pledge more than $6 billion to help fund Trump administration investment accounts for kids.
And as America and China enter a new AI Cold War, what's at stake and what will it take to win? We're going to speak with a retired CIA officer for analysis. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to NTD Good Morning. The Trump administration's new investment program for children is getting a major boost. Billionaires Michael and Susan Dell have pledged more than $6 billion to help fund the initiative.
NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on the gift that will help 25 million American children open newly created investment accounts.
The Dell's donation will provide $250 to each eligible child aged 10 and under. President Trump called it one of the most generous acts in the history of the country.
In honor of America's 250th anniversary, the Dells are announcing today that they are giving 25 million American children $250 each to save and to invest in their personal Trump account.
The $6.25 billion gift is designed to encourage families to activate the new child investment Trump accounts authorized under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The funds are expected to reach nearly 80% of American children 10 and under. Dell Technologies CEO Michael Dell says he was inspired by the passage of the Invest America Act in July.
This act has created a platform for families and friends and communities and companies and philanthropists to contribute to these accounts to create a savings and opportunity and hope and prosperity for tens of millions of children in this country.
Dell says other wealthy Americans may soon follow suit.
We are confident that others will join us because we all understand the incredible impact that a gift like this can have on the lives of young Americans.
When children have a future that they can see is worth saving for, then that will help build hope and opportunity and prosperity for generations to come.
Brad Gerstner is the founder of Invest America Charitable Foundation, which is supporting the Treasury in launching the accounts.
For decades, we've talked about the wealth gap. We've talked about too many people left out and left behind. This president was elected on a Main Street agenda to get the rest of America into the game. And that's exactly what this does.
Gerstner believes Trump accounts will inspire families to put more on the side for their kids.
But I think what this is going to unlock is the power of families. Moms and dads Venmoing and Apple Paying and $5, $10, right? And getting these kids into the game.
Under Invest America, every child under 18 with a Social Security number can access a federally overseen savings and investment account starting next July. Children born on or after January 1st, 2025 will automatically receive a $1,000 Treasury deposit, and families can contribute up to $5,000 a year. Employers may add $2,500 annually, while philanthropic or government contributions remain unkept. At age 18, children can withdraw the money for qualified purposes that includes tuition, home purchases, or starting a business. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says getting more people to buy in on saving for the future promotes stability.
People who have a stake in the system and become more and more vested in the system, they do not want to bring down the system. They want to make it better.
Bessent says Trump accounts are a game changer.
Americans are the most generous people in the history of the world, and the Trump accounts will provide a vehicle for philanthropists such as Michael and Susan and many more to contribute.
Trump accounts are drawing some bipartisan support. Senators Ted Cruz of Texas and Cory Booker of New Jersey are urging Fortune 1000 companies to donate to the new accounts to help expand the program. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration is moving to withhold SNAP benefits from states unless they provide information on recipients.
Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins says fraud is taking place in the federal food assistance program. Rollins had more to say during a cabinet meeting yesterday.
When we found 186,000 dead people's Social Security numbers being used, 500,000 people receiving benefits more than twice. We had a couple of people receiving benefits in 6 states. In February of this year, we asked for all the states for the first time to turn over their data to the federal government to let the USDA partner with them to root out this fraud.
Democratic states have sued to block the requirement. About 42 million lower-income Americans receive SNAP benefits. The program costs taxpayers about $8 billion a month.
Before the end of the recent government shutdown, the administration said it could not fund the program for November. Benefits resumed once the government reopened.
Costco, the third largest retailer in the United States, is suing the Trump administration over tariffs. It appears to want a refund if retailers win a separate but related Supreme Court case. Costco has not yet specified how much the tariffs have cost the company.
Supreme Court justices heard arguments in the tariffs case last month, but they have not said when a ruling will be made. The Trump administration is trying to convince the Supreme Court to let the tariffs stand.
If the Supreme Court agrees with the federal court that the tariffs are illegal, the Trump administration could have to make amends.
And it isn't yet clear how or whether already paid duties would get refunded.
President Trump tells Americans his tariffs will save them massive tax dollars as he doubles down on his proposal to give out dividend checks to American taxpayers next year. Where do lawmakers stand? NTD's Melina Weisskopf joins us this morning. Melina, good morning. What does the support in Congress look like for this?
Right, Steph. President Trump yesterday at a cabinet meeting spoke again about lowering taxes to the point that many could pay very little for income tax due to how much money the country is making from his tariff policies. He also reiterated his goal, like you said, to send $2,000 dividend checks to American families from that money that he's raised with his tariff policies. Listen to what Trump said yesterday.
They told me that next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever. And we're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs because we've taken in literally trillions of dollars. And we're going to be giving a nice dividend to the people in addition to reducing debt.
Now, to answer your question about where lawmakers stand, Steph, well, his comments yesterday come after several lawmakers expressed skepticism about this idea, including Senator Ron Johnson, a Republican, saying that any extra money coming in should be used for paying down the national debt. But the reality is, if Trump really wants to see these dividend checks go out, he needs Republican support in Congress. And at this point, it's not clear that it's totally there yet. Yesterday, I asked several House Republican lawmakers how they feel about it. Many just said they need to wait and see how the numbers add up. Listen to what they told me.
What are your thoughts on President Trump's idea to give $2,000 dividend checks to people from the tariff revenues that he's raking in right now?
Well, I think people would welcome that, and I think that people need to understand that the tariffs are a tool in the tool chest the president is using to negotiate trade deals. That's the most significant thing, because he has negotiated a number of great trade deals as a result of those tariffs, and he will continue to do that.
I'm not sure. We have to really look at that. That has to be something that we have to really think through.
It's something I need to learn more about. First time in a decade, we actually have more money
then we're spending out, because President Trump's decisions are slowly but surely turning the tide. Now, we got a long ways to go, but I think he's a great president. He's making a lot of progress.
Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson described it previously as a good idea, but he also said he'd need to see where the numbers are in the next year or so. Listen to what Johnson said when he was asked about it just a week ago.
He's thinking about something maybe midway into next year when the tariff revenue is realized and we can figure out what that looks like. But I think it would require an act of Congress.
So at this point, Steph, it looks like the idea is sort of in flux when it comes to how much Republican support that Trump has. Remember, because Republicans hold such a slim majority in both chambers, they will likely need all Republicans to get on board with this if no Democrats are in support of it. But I think what could also help Trump push this idea along is if those Republicans see that these tariffs are consistently raking in a substantial amount of revenue, and if Trump, of course, keeps tightening up on this request, Steph.
And we'll all be watching very closely to see that Supreme Court decision when it comes out. Thanks so much for the update, NTD congressional correspondent Melina Weiskup.
Flipping that around, maybe the Democrats would support giving money back. So it's a lot could happen. It's quite interesting.
Lots of moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, ICE will have its 10,000th new hire on duty this month. President Trump says his administration will soon focus on enforcement operations in New Orleans.
And with the Louisiana governor confirming that the National Guard troops will be in the state this month, NTD's correspondent Jason Blair brings us more on that.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says that ICE now has 10,000 new workers. She made the announcement during a cabinet meeting at the White House.
We're going to hire our 10,000th ICE officer, will be on the job within 10 days.
The DHS has continued an aggressive campaign to hire more personnel, especially for ICE. Noem says that the department has received hundreds of thousands of new applications. This is while the Trump administration is on track to shatter the record for deportations within a year.
2 million people have gone home already. The people that were here illegally, you've removed from our country and sent home. And we're going to send more home for the holidays, too, and make sure that they get to be with their families in their countries. Yes.
Noem also said on Monday that during a meeting with President Trump, she recommended a full travel ban on certain countries, saying that the U.S. is overwhelmed by what she described as foreign invaders. Attorney General Pam Bondi says that 500 people have been charged for assaulting federal officers. This is while the DHS has frequently stated that agents face a 1,000% increase in assaults from last year. And also during the cabinet meeting, President Trump confirms that a crime crackdown in New Orleans will begin in the near future.
The governor called me. He'd like to have us go there. Governor Landry, great guy, great governor. He's asked for help in New Orleans, and we're going to go there in a couple of weeks.
Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry says that he had a conversation with Trump, and in about 2 weeks, National Guard troops will be in New Orleans, as well as some other cities to combat crime. Landry says that the troops will stay in the state through Mardi Gras. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Jason Blair, NTD News.
Thanks to Jason for that report. And the man accused of shooting 2 National Guard members in Washington, D.C. has pleaded not guilty. Ramanala Lakhanwal appeared virtually in court from a hospital bed. He's accused of shooting 2 National Guard troops last week near the White House. Sarah Beckstrom died from her injuries, and Andrew Wolf remains in critical condition. Lakhanwal has been charged with murder and assault with intent to kill. He pleaded not guilty to all counts. The judge has ordered Lakhanwal to be held without bond before his trial, which is now scheduled for January 14th.
Meanwhile, murder suspect Luigi Mangione returned to court yesterday for the second day of hearings.
A Pennsylvania officer who was sent to identify the suspected shooter at a local McDonald's testified about his immediate reaction when he saw Mangione. And NTD's Arlene Richards brings us more on that.
An Altoona, Pennsylvania police officer took the stand on Tuesday in day 2 of evidentiary hearings in the case against suspected murderer Luigi Mangione. The officer, Joseph Detweiler, recounted the moments before he and other officers arrested Mangione in a local McDonald's. Body cam footage of the exchange played on several screens in the courtroom. It showed the roughly 20 minutes between officers approaching Mangione at the restaurant, then arresting and searching him. During the exchange, Mangione gave police a fake New Jersey ID. He later admitted he had lied and disclosed his real name. Officers had asked other questions, including whether he'd been in New York recently and why are you nervous? Mangione's team of attorneys are asking the court to block the prosecution from showing potential jurors items authorities reportedly seized from his backpack. They argue the officers didn't have a warrant. The objects include a 9mm handgun that prosecutors say matches the one used in the killing and a notebook in which they say Mangione described his intent to, quote, whack a health insurance executive. The defense is also seeking to toss out statements Mangione allegedly made, saying the statements should be suppressed because officers started asking questions before telling him he had a right to remain silent. Without a warrant, prosecutors must show there was an emergency situation that required the search. It's not clear what reasons prosecutors will propose for allowing the disputed evidence, but during their questioning of the witnesses so far, it appears they are attempting to establish officers believe that Mangione was a threat. The prosecution is expected to call up to 24 witnesses this week. Arlene Richards, NTD News.
In Minnesota, the former police officer convicted of murder in the death of George Floyd is seeking a new trial. Derek Chauvin was found guilty of state and federal charges related to Floyd's death. He's served 5 years of a 22.5-year prison sentence. Chauvin's attorney filed court documents asking that 3 criminal convictions be vacated and a new trial ordered. The filing accuses prosecutors of misconduct and argues that false testimony from expert witnesses deprived Chauvin of a fair trial.
And next, let's turn to the AI race between the U.S. and China. What will it take for the U.S. to win, and what's at stake even? Joining us to discuss is Rick De La Torre, CEO and founder of Tower Strategy LLC and a retired CIA senior operations officer. Thanks for joining us this morning, Rick. A Senate committee held a hearing yesterday titled Countering China's Challenge to American Leadership. What was the outcome of that hearing?
Well, I think for the first time now, we officially have on the record Congress indicating that the competition with China has been, and currently in its current state, is unfair. What we have China stealing intellectual property, abusing and stealing personal information and private data, and then weaponizing all that stuff with its military. So this isn't about business competition between the United States and China. This is actually China looking for AI dominance, both in a military and strategic position. So what came out of the Senate hearings was really a spotlight and focus that if the U.S. is serious about winning this, then we're going to have to make some significant investments and pay some significant time and energy to actually confront and beat China. The United States currently leads when it comes to chip technology and when it comes to the software and developing these things out. China does lead, however, sadly, when it comes to energy. We just don't have enough energy in this country to generate the amount of wattage that's required to meet AI demands. This isn't something that we can wait and sit around and hope that we somehow fix and get on the right side within the next few years. We really only have possibly 1 year or at best a few months to get into that position that we need to be in.
Yeah, Rick, you bring up a lot of interesting angles and points to this complex issue. You talk about going on offense, getting the energy going, but also you talk about defense, about preventing what you've described as sort of this IP theft fusion, because that IP theft it's not for business, it's not for the private sector, there's a fusion of their military with their private sector. So the Chinese regime, as we frequently cover on NTD, is engaged in this unconventional warfare, as you described it and as I attempted to describe it. They invest in soft power in places such as grassroots organizations in the U.S. They even do lobbying quite aggressively. So do you see that coming into play specifically as it relates to AI, or is it in other sectors of military and other things?
Yeah, absolutely right. The Chinese soft power that is executed against the United States and in every sector, from university campuses to NGOs and grassroots movements, and even lobbying here in D.C. I'm proud to say, as a lobbyist, I accept no money from the PRC. What you see is they muddle the waters and try to refocus the attention to their benefit. So, for example, the push and argument for overregulation of AI technologies and expansion of AI, or the overstressing of environmental concerns regarding AI. A lot of those efforts are straight out of the Chinese playbook to slow us down, to keep us from catching up and making the advancements we certainly need to make. At the university campus level, a lot of that technology, as we know, and the DOJ consistently spotlights their arrests that we've seen a significant increase of those who collaborate with the PRC in stealing technologies from the university centers and advanced laboratories. And then you have an all-out offensive on the cyber front when it comes to hacking and breaking into databases, into corporate and government databases, and stealing that information that then, as you said, goes back into China, Chinese servers, and then is weaponized to benefit the PRC.
You brought up a really interesting point around the lobbying, specifically that they're lobbying for green energies here in the U.S. as they fire up dozens of these coal-fired power plants. You said that we are behind them as it relates to the energy required to lead in AI, and you said that it's not a 5-year thing, it's a 1-year thing. So what are the stakes? How does AI help them achieve both their Cold War objectives as well as their kinetic war objectives?
You're absolutely right. If you look at where we're at now, China currently, just to put this into perspective, China produces more solar energy than the United States produces nuclear energy, right? Within the next 5 years, China is slated to produce more solar energy than the entire energy that the United States produces. That's everything we do: nuclear, solar, diesel, gas, whatever it is. So we're not even in the same realm. You're right, they're firing up coal plants left and right, but they're really making their investments in the future in solar technologies, which they control. They control 90% of that market in the United States. That's something that we need to focus on here. We need to look at these, the component levels, the polysiliconates, the modules, all the things that go into solar energy manufacturing, and bring that back to the United States and control it like it would be some sort of very critical industry, because it is. That from a technical standpoint, providing large amounts of energy to these data centers, to the folks involved in AI, crypto data centers that are going to require the energy to take us to that next level, we need to focus on that. Right now, sadly, our grid is too reliant on Chinese subcomponents, where I have personally no real faith in. And also, we're just not growing and making those investments to keep up.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the advancements of AI, it seems as though both Cold War applications like deep fakes, misinformation, power grids, which you mentioned, all controlled through computer technology. So AI certainly could affect that. But then also, as we see with the Russia-Ukraine war, as well as with Israel, that these kinetic military tools are really now being controlled by AI, and it's not as much humans on the battlefield, it's drones and other technology. So a lot here at stake. Really appreciate all your analysis. Energy seems like one of the key ingredients for leadership. Rick De La Torre, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
And up ahead, a big winter storm hits the Northeast, bringing heavy snow and ice, but more cold weather. It's on the way.
Meanwhile, San Francisco is suing companies that produce ultra-processed foods. How the city says they've triggered a public health crisis. After this.
Welcome back to NTD Good Morning. I'm Carrie Dunst. If you're just joining us now, here are some of today's top headlines. Peace talks on ending the war in Ukraine stalled again after a 5-hour meeting between U.S. negotiators and President Putin produced no breakthroughs. The Kremlin called the talks constructive but said no compromises were reached. Ukraine's President Zelensky says he's waiting for a full briefing. And President Trump held his 9th cabinet meeting of the year yesterday as scrutiny grows over a deadly boat strike in the Caribbean. Some lawmakers claim Secretary of War Pete Hegseth ordered a second strike that killed 2 boat survivors, calling it a war crime. Hegseth denies it, saying Admiral Frank Bradley made the call and that it was the right decision under what he called, quote, the fog of war. Trump also defended the strike, saying they saved hundreds of thousands of American lives and warned that land strikes on cartels are coming soon, and not just in Venezuela, but in any country sending drugs into the U.S. And Republican Matt Van Epps is projected to have won Tennessee's special election in the 7th Congressional District, which includes Nashville, according to the Associated Press. He defeated Democrat Aftyn Behn with just over 53% of the vote. Van Epps said his win sends a clear message that Middle Tennessee stands with President Trump. He will fill the seat vacated by Mark Green. And the Trump administration's new child investment program is getting a major boost from billionaires Michael and Susan Dell of the computer company fame. The pair has pledged over $6 billion to fund accounts for 25 million children under the age of 10. Each eligible child will receive $250 to save and invest in a federally overseen Trump account. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the program encourages families to save and it strengthens financial stability. Those are this morning's top headlines. For that, Steph, over to you.
Thanks, Carrie. And a major winter storm is hitting the Northeast, bringing heavy snow, ice, and dangerous travel conditions. More than 50 million people are under winter weather alerts tonight. Snowfall totals could reach up to a foot in parts of the Ohio Valley, Pennsylvania, New York, and New England. The storm marks the region's first major blast of winter as snow, wind, and ice spread across the east. In West Virginia yesterday, vehicles struggled to stay on the road as slick conditions caused traffic problems. Forecasters warn more perilous conditions are on the way as colder air pushes into the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. And Camp Mystic is moving forward with reopening plans after the 4th of July flooding that killed 25 children and 2 teenage counselors.
The Texas-based camp says it will exceed new state safety laws passed after the disaster. Planned upgrades include river monitors for early detection of high water events, weather alert radios, and high-capacity generators. But some grieving families are strongly opposed to reopening the camp so soon after the tragedy, particularly as the body of one camper has still not been found.
Camp Mystic said yesterday that deciding whether or not to return to camp this summer will be a difficult decision for many families. Sessions are scheduled to resume next May at a location near the site destroyed by floodwaters. And San Francisco is suing major food manufacturers, accusing them of driving a public health crisis with ultra-processed foods.
A lawyer for the city says companies took food and made it unrecognizable and harmful to the human body.
The complaint targets makers of popular brands including Oreo cookies, Cheerios, Kit Kat, and Lunchables.
The lawsuit argues ultra-processed foods are linked to conditions ranging from diabetes to cancer.
It says the companies violated state laws through deceptive marketing.
The lawsuit demands financial penalties and it limits on advertising ultra-processed foods, especially to children. And up ahead, the U.S. Capitol Christmas tree from Nevada is lit up for the season, and a 9-year-old winner of an essay contest had the honor of lighting the tree.
So sweet. And for Giving Tuesday, thousands are giving back through food, time, and donations. NTD's Christina Corona takes us inside the LA Regional Food Bank, where volunteers are helping those in need. More on that when we return. Welcome back to NTD Good Morning. People and organizations across the nation stepped up to make a difference on Giving Tuesday. For many, that means helping families struggling with food insecurity.
NTD's Christina Corona reports from the LA Regional Food Bank, showing how volunteers and donations are making a real impact.
This Giving Tuesday, we're here at the LA Regional Food Bank warehouse in the City of Industry, where thousands of pounds of food is being sorted and distributed to help families in need. Volunteers and workers are working around the clock to support communities across LA County facing food insecurity.
It is a very special opportunity going into the holidays to really invite engagement from our community to get involved, to join the really vital fight against hunger.
The LA Regional Food Bank operates out of a massive 256,000 square foot warehouse and serves more than 1 million people each month.
The demand for food assistance in LA County is profound. There is 1 in 5 LA County residents that experiences food and nutrition insecurity.
Volunteers assemble food kits packed with shelf-stable items like cereal, pasta, peanut butter, and canned goods, along with fresh fruits and vegetables, enough to feed families of 4 to 5 for several days.
They then get delivered to different agency partners across LA County, as well as drive-through distribution sites.
More than 30,000 volunteers donate their time throughout the year, many for just a few hours at a time.
We really can't do our work without those engaged community members, and we're so thankful. And our shifts are about 3 hours each, and it's very impactful in that short amount of time what you can do for the community.
In addition to volunteer services, donations are critical to keeping shelves stocked.
I'd say that the most impactful way to support the food bank is to donate money. The food bank is very fortunate to have relationships, and we're able to stretch that dollar further than if an individual like you and I were to go to a grocery store.
To donate or volunteer, opportunities are available on the LA Regional Food Bank website. Reporting from the City of Industry, Christina Corona, NTD News.
Such a great story from Christina in LA, and it's a global phenomenon. It actually was started by the 92nd Street Y here in New York City in partnership with the UN. And the idea was generally that you got Black Friday, it's a very consumer-focused, spend on my family, spend on myself, and then that bled into Cyber Monday, because I guess people are sitting at their desk and they're buying some stuff. So to kind of counterweight that consumerism with a giving theme is beautiful, and billions of dollars were raised yesterday.
Such a good point. And on another side of the benefits of giving, especially in regards to food insecurity, this is a time that many companies will have their Christmas parties and celebrate the end of the year with those they spend the most time with many times. But one way you can do that is to go out and help at a soup kitchen or something like that, and it can serve as another way to bond with the team in a meaningful way that everybody feels good about. So there you go.
Absolutely.
I did do that one year, and it was really nice.
Yeah, anytime you volunteer, you feel better having done it. Like, you feel so good when you give, right?
That's it. There are studies on that for supporting that too, yeah. All right, next up, the U.S. Capitol Christmas tree from Nevada is now lit up for the season. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins gave remarks about the reason for celebrating Christmas, the birth of Jesus.
Following Rollins was Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and 9-year-old Grady Armstrong of Nevada then had the honors of lighting the tree after he won an essay contest.
Red firs like this one require the right conditions and decades of careful tending to rise to their full majesty. And so too with this great republic of ours. Like the fir, the work of preserving this grand experiment in self-governance is also generational. And it falls to us to steward and protect it so that our children may inherit all the blessings that we enjoy today. Christmas is a fitting time to do just that, to look beyond our material blessings and to lift our gaze on high, just as the wise men once did on their journey to Bethlehem.
I want the country to know how special Nevada's public land and national forests are. These lands are full of wonder, from big animals like elk, mule deer, bighorn sheep, and even moose, to smaller animals like fish, lizards, and birds.
So very sweet. Now, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, offered Grady a job as a speechwriter on Capitol Hill before the countdown to the lighting, just to top it all off.
That's right. What an adorable young man. The band played a familiar song, "Oh Christmas Tree," and Silver Belle will remain lit from dusk until 11 p.m. every evening through early January 26.
Well, I think he'll be a great speechwriter.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, he had confidence. He was dressed sharply. I love that hat.
And pleased to be there. All right, New York City is kicking into festive gear.
That's right. A big crowd packed into Bryant Park last night to start off the holiday season with the annual tree lighting.
It's the season to be jolly. La 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 la.
You guys made it. Thank God it's not thunderstorming.
I do love those carolers. The celebration featured ice skating, performances, songs, and a lot of Christmas cheer, as you can imagine. The crowd counted down to the moment. A massive spruce tree was lit up in all its festive glory.
This year's Christmas tree towers at 45 feet high and it weighs more than 8,000 pounds. It's been decorated with over 1,000 ornaments and 12,000 lights. Bryant Park's Winter Village, with its shops, food stands, and skating rink, stays open through early March, so it goes well beyond just the Christmas season. I think once it's set up, it's got that winter flair and feel, you know.
It sure does.
Sort of warms you up even though it's cold out there.
And they do have plenty of warm spaces to stop and have a drink, and at the market as well. So
I myself found a nice cup of hot chocolate there earlier this week, and it's definitely fun walking around there. There's some beautiful artisan trinkets as well that one could find.
They sure can. I've had a great time there too, walking around. So if you're nearby, be sure to get out.
And the trash panda apparently is living up to its name.
Yeah, as it does. Now you just can't make this up. Just listen to this story about Virginia. Officers were called to a liquor store in Hanover County after the place was found ransacked. Liquor bottles strewn about, and the masked suspect passed out on the bathroom floor. Poor little thing maybe didn't know what it was getting into.
I think he might have been a bit overserved from the look of that photo. Now, the suspect, a very drunk raccoon. An officer was able to get him to an animal shelter where he was checked out for injuries and given a chance to sleep off his libations.
He was then released back into the wild where he belongs.
Well, you know, whether you're a raccoon or a human, you definitely want to enjoy the holidays responsibly.
Well, that's true.
You don't want to get too hard after it.
Stay with your friends and family. No need to end up in the bathroom.
Moderation is the key to a good life, isn't it?
Okay.
All right, well, we do have to wrap up, but if you have any feedback on the show, or maybe there's something you'd like to see us cover, send us an email at goodmorning@ntd.com. We'd love to hear from you.
And for round-the-clock original news coverage, watch us live at ntd.com/live or download our app. I'm Stephanie Cox.
Carrie Dunst, we'll see you soon.
Welcome back to NTD Good Morning. This month, as our attention turns to focus more on family, friends, and philanthropy, it really is a season of giving. A report from Good United says 1/3 of all annual charitable donations happened in December alone.
But why let it stop there? Our next guest has a beautiful message about the importance of kindness and all the ways we can make that gift last all year long. Jennifer Weiss is a book publisher and the author of Holy Spirit Adventures, God at Work in the Marketplace. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Steph, Carrie.
So good to have you here. And I'm so excited to speak about your journey. You have a really powerful story, and I know you detail some of that in your book. And it's all about kindness. Tell us how you came to focus on kindness.
Well, I feel like as a mom and then a loan officer and then finally as a flight attendant for 7 years for a major airline, I had to learn the art of kindness and how it can change chaos back to kindness, to a place of kindness.
And you know, in those customer service type roles, you're really at the front lines of putting kindness into practice. Yes. But really everybody day to day is dealing in some kind of situation where they can choose. Do I act kindly or do I, act grumpy or what have you? It takes effort to put forward a kind face. But I'd love it if you could share a couple of the things that maybe moved you and maybe inspired you to write the book.
Sure. This is actually a story that's not in the book. We were on a flight from DFW to Kansas City, and a man and a woman came on the plane, and she said, "Get me a blanket, I'm cold." And I said, "Unfortunately, we don't provision those in main cabin anymore." And she said, "Well, turn the air down, it's too cold in here." So I said, "Okay, I'll let the captain know." Go on to do the main cabin service, and she doesn't want anything. No, just no. And so not being very kind. And I thought, okay, well, she must be going through something, I don't know. And I kept having the thought, go get her a warm chocolate chip cookie. And I was like, no. My next thought was, I don't reward bad behavior. I'm a mom. We don't reward the bad behavior. But it kept coming, so I thought, okay. So I go and I get my little airplane napkins that you have, and I put the chocolate chip cookie because no one else can see the because they want it. They want, why can't I have a chocolate chip cookie? It's like being on a school bus. So I walk it back to her and I said, hey, I know you were cold. Maybe this warm chocolate chip cookie will warm you up. And she says, well, thank you. And so I go to the back galley, go on about my duties, and her husband comes back to the back of the aircraft and he says, hey, thanks for being kind to my wife. I know she wasn't very nice to you. And he said, we're going to bury our son.
Oh,
wow.
My gosh. I just got
Stops
chills.
you in your, yeah, me too. It really
Yeah.
stops you in your track. You don't know what the other person is going through, right?
You don't. Sometimes it is entitlement, but it really doesn't matter. We can feel good about our interaction if we're kind.
Yeah, and this is why I feel like your mission almost to bring that kindness to each moment through all of the highs and lows of such a high contrast job where you are interfacing with so many different people.
Right.
Must have taught you a lot. You've acquired a lot of wisdom along the way. And what would you say are some of your biggest lessons?
Yes. Well, a friend told me, kindness is giving people what they need, not what they deserve.
Oh, wow.
And that stuck with me.
Wow. And that's inspired you to not only tell your own story, but to form a publishing company, Dove Publishing, where you support all different types of people who have positive messages that they're trying to bring out to the public. Can you tell us a little bit about Dove Publishing?
Sure. I'm the founder of Dove Publishing House, and we like to say we give wings to words. So screenwriter, author, but I love coming alongside and helping people share their stories, whether coaching them or through that publishing process, which can be very chaotic, and bringing kindness to that. But it's a lot of darkness to light testimonies. So there are people who have gone through really hard things that come out on the other side through their faith. And so I'm so honored to do that.
Wow, yeah, it's almost like inner work, I imagine, into bringing out such a personal story to show to the public and communicate their life's purpose or something that they're going through they need to communicate. So in terms of this season that we're in, the season of giving, the season of kindness, and yet it can be such a tough season as well. Maybe for that reason, when you look around, you might not be feeling it as much as you feel that others are, or perhaps a lot of people struggle with having kindness even for themselves. What's your message, if you were to have one, for people out there who may be feeling it a little harder this month?
Sure. I think that we have a counterfeit community with online and in this digital age, and life can be messy and families messy, but having that true connection with your community and your family, and for me, my faith, I don't think I could be kind if I didn't have that as an overflow. And so there's a lot of givers and takers in the world, and we want to be the givers, and let's do that this season.
And as you look ahead, when you get to the other side of the season, obviously you have many authors that you're working with, but what else are you working on over the next year?
Well, I'm working on some screenplays, and they are based on my time on the aircraft. One is about human trafficking, and the other one is totally different political thriller, like A White House Down or London Has Fallen. So focusing on that and just serving people.
Wow. Yeah, it seems to me that you have a real sense of wanting to communicate something important.
Yes.
And what do you think might be missing in an overarching sense from the conversation that most people are having, between the lines of their lives? What's missing in terms of the way that people are looking at life that may be bringing them pain where it doesn't need to?
Well, I think authenticity. So being authentic is so important, and sharing what's really going on, because people can't love you if you don't let them see you. And so I would say authenticity.
Where did that start for you?
Oh, goodness. I think just growing up the way that I did in an abusive household, it seems like that authenticity and being able to share your story and being loved through it is just so powerful. And I think we're missing that. I think we're missing that warmth in communication, and that comes from authenticity.
Jennifer,
Really.
we got time for one more anecdote. Tell us one heartwarming anecdote from the book.
Oh, goodness. Okay. I could tell you all a lot of really funny stories.
I'm
Let's
sure,
see,
for being in the air,
heartwarming.
right?
Well, I think it's not really one. It's that there are people that are going to their weddings and people are going on vacation and they're so happy. And it's just a beautiful thing to witness. You're getting to carry people to this destination. And so you can see it on their face. You can also see it when it's not going well in their life.
Yeah. A lot of insight into the human condition right there in one space.
Everyone's boundaries are being transgressed. You have these tall men sitting in this tiny seat.
Yeah, that's it.
Could make a funny screenplay as well. Maybe that could be your third project. Maybe that one will be a comedy from the air.
But if you're looking at it with the right eyes, I do think us all being so close together, and this is what you're speaking about community being such an important part of, I think, gaining that wisdom. We are so connected, and this is where it comes about, kindness given and received together. Thank you so much for your time today, Jennifer Weiss, and your book. Here you can see it, The Holy Spirit Adventures, God at Work in the Marketplace. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we do have to wrap up our show now, but if you have any feedback or maybe there's a story you'd like to see us cover, send us an email at goodmorning@ntd.com. We'd love to hear from you.
And for round-the-clock original news coverage, watch us live at ntd.com/live or download our NTD app. Thanks for watching. I'm Stephanie Cox.
I'm Carrie Dunst. Have a great day.